Welcome everyone and welcome to All In, All United.
Remember the comment he made?
I got some bars to these.
Run Ryan.
Ryan.
And the other thing, you have players out there.
I think the fellas were taking more serious.
No way. What grade?
That one had to go.
Yes. Because at the end of the day, right now, Manchester United are
Welcome everyone and welcome to All In, All United. Simeon, well, that was a hard watch. That was a hard watch. I mean, this is the second time for the season and we found ourselves losing to 10 men, and if there's anything that we would have learned, and I mean, also, we were not, ever ignorant of it, is we need to improve a lot with our ability on the ball. I mean, it was doing my head in today, but how much we struggle to keep the ball, right? And even when Newcastle was playing with less men, this was, I think this has been, this is a terrible performance. It's the worst performance since Carrick came in, and I mean, we're not going to save or show no favoritism, where the managers are concerned. If it's some with Amarim, I call it out. If some with Carrick, we call it out. Because one game a week for the majority of the season, and the one time or two times we had to play 2 games in 3 days, that's what we're doing. Newcastle lost 2 games on the bounce coming in today. We were unbeaten in 7. We didn't have no excuse not to win today. Newcastle, the energy they had and the intensity, it was just too much. And United was just too passive, too casual. And I think another thing I noticed, and I think it's something that Nico mentioned, a lot of times, and it was evident today, that at the end of the day, you had to be able to match your opponent, right? If not better them. You had to go athlete for athlete against teams like Newcastle because you saw how Joelinton and Tonali, they were just the better team on an athletic level against us. And that's something we definitely need to address when we sign in midfielders. We had to get players on that technical level and who have that athletic ability, because Kobe was too slow. As good as Kobe is in possession on the ball, Kobe was too slow. He was labored in possession. Casemiro was too slow. You know what I'm saying? And you know what annoying too, Simeon? Every goal that we concede on that Carrick is either a penalty or your opponent scoring a worldie.
Yep.
Like, what the hell, right?
Yep. Yeah, I mean, we go talk about that goal, I'm sure later, but yeah, I mean, I have to admit, I've been a great, admirer of Newcastle for a while. I mean, and I feel like I can't question myself, my footballing knowledge, because Newcastle is, for the way they're built, the way they recruit, they don't get the players they want because they're Newcastle, but you see the intention, you see the purpose, you see and you watch the team play, and then they just play hard. That's the one team every year I just be afraid to play because they play so damn hard. And I know we could catch yourself, trying to match it. But today, for some reason, you get a little high from the last 3 games, the little magic we had. And it's been magic. The first 3 games were, you saw something, but the last 3 games were magic, a thing here, there. But you always know Newcastle is going to bring a tough mentality and a tough midfield to the game. And it's just, for me, it's just sad that, they gave us an opportunity to we had a chance. They gave us the referee gave us an opportunity to take this game and get all 3 points, I would have taken 1 point. I've been glad with 1 point. But they gave us a chance to get 3 points. And them fellas couldn't even turn up and give us a performance. I was saying to myself, maybe we trying to, work our way into the game, trying to, and I think, and after a while, I realized, no, I mean, yeah, we played 2 games, we tired, but how many games Newcastle play this season? Like almost 10 more that we play. We should be the opposite. I know we are playing at their stadium, but we were the ones who were supposed to be running around them. And the fact that they went down to 10 men and still were bossing the midfield around it was hard to watch. I felt real shame, and it goes back, we always go back to the recruiting, like, and something I said earlier, I'm like, if we're serious about trying to make a run for this thing, we have to recruit, we have to buy somebody in general, a midfielder. I don't care if it was Amarim or Carrick, we need a midfielder, because you can't play Casemiro twice a week. You just can't. It just not it ain't gonna work. And lo and behold, here we are, playing some games, back to back, and you see, you just couldn't keep up. We couldn't get ahead, and I love Kobe to death, but I mean, I know what he named, probably somewhere laughing, and say something about Kobe, but I don't think Kobe's the same player that we saw. I don't know if it's because his responsibility changed, but I don't see the same kind of aggression that we saw earlier, before them injuries. And it might be a small thing, but I just ain't see. I know he have more, develop attackers in front of him, and probably ain't trying to do too much because he played in midfield. But I don't see the same kind of aggression I saw even in his earlier days. But right now with this team, we just gotta, we see what we see. We just have to hope we could maintain some kind of decency going on the road, because we in a good place despite the loss today. We're in a good place. We just have to play some smart football.
Yeah. You had mentioned the last pod, which was Monday. I asked the question as to what would stop us from, finishing strongly in European places. And when I say European, I mean Champions League.
Yeah.
And one of the things that you mentioned was injuries, right? Because we saw today, Shaw, I don't know what going on with Shaw, right? But Shaw didn't look good today. And then Mazwari came on for Shaw, and Mazwari went off. And
oh gosh, Karim, oh gosh.
Yeah, we're already dealing with Dillit. We already have Martinez in the medical room already. Miss Mount, who Bella
I forget about these men. I forget them.
You understand?
Oh, yeah.
Then Dogu there. So
Yeah.
so it's like the injuries actually starting to pile up. And what is scary is that with 1 game a week, and we still having to deal with this injury thing. So it's crazy, it's mind-blowing, but I guess it is what it is. But I just want to touch on something that you mentioned, with regard to the midfield. Right? Now, from my, analyzing how Carrick want to play, I don't have a problem with the jokes, but to the point where Kobe and Casemiro passing to each other and putting each other under pressure is where I gain it. It's because you're seeing how other teams beginning to figure out certain things. And I watch how every time Kobe go close to Casemiro, you have 3 Newcastle players closing them down. So even if it's a 1-2, boom, that before Casemiro could even play that pass, the player already closing Casemiro down. And I didn't see in the game where Kobe and Casemiro was understanding what was going on, because they got caught out so many times. Their passes got cut out so many times, and they kept doing the passes. And it even had other opportunities, other moments where they barely get the ball because
Yep,
either the
yeah.
pass on the hit or it overhit or something. And I was wondering what going on with these fellas today. Heavy legs, what going on?
I mean, the concentration. I don't know if it's the energy level. I think I keep saying, like certain teams, the way they play, the mentality they play with, the energy they bring. I mean, does disrupt teams. I think Newcastle is one of them teams. Everton is not a really good team, but you see a little bit when they played us at home and they with the 10 men. Like I, when a team get pressure, I think not just the pressure, it's the physicality. You see Joe Linton, how Casemiro can really, deal with him. I think that was a real issue. When you feel like you can't shield a ball from somebody, like when you get that kind of mentality that to where you feel like you get body of a ball, that changes the way the aggressive things you want to do because and Casemiro not as big as he was, which is a good thing, but at the same time, against that kind of midfield, and Kobe is Kobe, he's a good player, but he has to. I feel like he playing too safe. He has to to shake that up. You have to go through him. You have to carry the ball sometimes, and I think Kobe has lost that in his game. For most of this year, I'm wondering if it's just because he have Bruno ahead, you have Cunha ahead, you have and boom. If you have people ahead that more older heads that you don't have to. But I just wonder why Kobe ain't that because he can. I think that's in his locker, but he just ain't seen that as much as he can.
It's in his locker, but I don't know if it's because of the difference in the role that he playing, where he more trying to, be the calm influence in the midfield, kind of dictate the tempo, keep it ticking, as opposed to trying to drive the ball forward. I don't know if that is a roles and responsibility thing as opposed to him not wanting to do it. I don't know. I guess time will tell us.
And then we don't have the width to drive to midfield because you have Cunha. Cunha. He needs his own section to talk about because Cunha was doing some kind of thing this today.
He was positive. Cunha was positive today. But when you look at it in the big picture. But let me ask you a question, Simeon, right? Because I think this is where we might kind of stay for the majority of the pod this evening, right? Where or what did Carrick get wrong today? Where did he get it wrong today?
Wrong. For me, it always starts with I think the attack he has right now ain't really clicking. I think to begin with, I will always try and go with Ahmad on the right hand side, or at least one winger somewhere to open things up. The Sesko thing has produced goals, but to say clicking, it ain't. That lineup of Ahmad, Mbumo, and Cunha. It really, get to, it really get to the point where they're scoring goals, but it's clicking better than, the Sesko. I think Sesko come on, score some good goals and good moments. And that's what you want to see from a striker. But to have the offense humming, I don't think the offense has really been humming for, a good while as far as, with Sesko on there. And he can't disappear. I think for great periods of the game, you didn't see him for a while. That's one thing. I think we still right now we try to form a different kind of play, a different kind of relationship, partnerships up front than we had before, and that taking some time. And and then I think when they went down to 10 men and we really didn't really try and we didn't really jump on it. I know we scored that That's the free kick from Bruno. The
Yeah,
free
the
kick.
header,
Yeah,
Casemiro header. Yeah.
yeah. And but I feel like in the second half, like that first come out and think it was just gonna be they're gonna win. It's just gonna be they took things for granted. They figure it would be some kind of magic at the end of the game. Newcastle at 10 men, and it would just come to them, and they didn't take it. And Newcastle come out second half, and they outplayed us. I ain't even mad they won. I mean, I really can't be mad at them. They played some good tough football. I look at and then I criticize when you finally bring Ahmad on and Xerxes on where you put them. Was Ahmad on the right wing? I only saw Dalo there.
Yeah, he was on the right, but he would have cut in if Dalo given width, Amaro would have come in. But I'm gonna just mention something before I continue. I don't really have an issue with the patience game that Carrick seemed to favor, right? But as I said in my opening, the little thing I said at the start, you have to be able to know who you're playing against and be able to match them, if not better them. So if you know you want to play, a patience, move around the ball, take your time, keep it moving, kind of keep it ticking kind of game, and you come up against a very physical midfield that pressing, and as I said, Jolinton, he just had the long legs to wrap around you and win back the ball. Then you had to start to move the ball faster. You had to be quick in mind. And I wasn't seeing it because in the 30-something minute, what caused us to concede the penalty is it whenever we did it, Casemiro on the ball, we are man up, and you breezing on the ball and allow Gordon to come, take the ball from you, turn, run in the opposite direction, cut in and win a penalty. Listen, we have to be able, if we want to play the patience game, we have to know how the team, we have to cipher the opposition a lot quicker because we're taking too long to settle into games, right? Decipher the opposition quicker, and if we need to move the ball quicker, then move it quicker. Because Casemiro get caught out, Kobe get caught out. How many players get caught on the ball because we were taking very, very long to make a decision to get off our feet?
But I have to credit. I mean, I keep saying I don't know what kind of jumpy Newcastle have, but I like the coach and where they like the way they do things, but they had a good game plan because when you watch the team play, they struggle. Like you said, they struggled to find a way through to Newcastle team. It seemed like every time they come out, they gotta take like 5 seconds to think what's going on. And Casemiro, like you said, he got caught in the ball a lot, and Menu, who normally more away, like I think whatever game plan Newcastle, Eddie Howe had, it really confused the hell out of our midfield, and we weren't able. That's where I think I'll go back. The back three of Amrim would have handled this better. Saved off feet because you had more people. You would have like a Maguire or Martinez up front, kind of dictated pushing teams back, or I feel like
I don't know, Nico, because our back three, I'm get 4 from Newcastle, right? So I mean,
yeah, but I feel like we didn't have enough, or the people we had, either that or the people we had making the passing choices didn't handle it right.
I don't know if it's a combination of a couple of things, because as I was telling some of the guys earlier, I find the midfield look very lethargic, right? Again, we were on the ball, we were slow. Yes, Newcastle would have kind of sat back after they went a man down, right? Because that's one of the best teams in transition in the league with Gordon and Ilanga and whoever. Them they could transition, right? But the awareness to what's wrong here. Normally when a team sitting back, the striker behind you, he might be walking, but Gordon coming,
yeah,
right? And then you had Joe Linton there who could stretch his foot from one end of the field and still win it in the next end. So this is what I'm saying. I find the players, especially the midfielders, they took too long to adapt to what was going on. All right, so Newcastle trying to close me down, then we try to move it faster. We were moving the ball too slow, right? And that is my issue with how we played today. They had a very good plan, and we started going long. We were losing all those long balls that was coming from Lamens to Cunha, and we were just coming back. So let me get back to the question. What else, or what did Carrick get wrong this evening? Now, what you mentioned, one that I tend to agree with is perhaps the Ahmad Mbeumo Cunha fluidity may have been a little more fitting for today, because for large parts of the game, Sesko was a cone. And it's not to any fault of his, because Sesko did well when he get the ball. He did well when he had something to do. So I don't have an issue with Sesko as on an individual performance. But in terms of his involvement in the game, he was very, very quiet because of how the game played. So maybe, as you were saying, Simeon, the fluidity of the Ahmad Cunha Mbeumo may have suited this game better. So this is where I think Carrick get wrong. Because we don't ever play the ball into the box or in behind like how, and Dan Burn was having a field day cutting out them passes to Sesko. So I don't know. Substitutions. This was the next thing I find Carrick took very, very long. Mbeumo is my boy. I will always back him. But you see today, I don't know why Carrick waits so long to make I really think the Xerxes substitution, I thought Xerxes came on and he looked positive. Right? He forced Ramsdale into a big save. Right? He linked up a couple of plays. He made a real nice dribble on the play to Sesko, but Sesko couldn't shove off the defender. I think Xerxes had a real positive cameo. Right? But Carrick taking long, or he took too long today to make some key substitutions. Now, I know these guys are the ones that would have bailed him out, and he want to trust them, but you had to trust your bench too. I know the options limited, but you had to trust them fellas on them. Casemiro, he saw Casemiro was struggling. He brought on Ugarte, right? And I had called for the sub to take off Menu, drop Bruno inside there, put Xerxes Ahmad up top, just to get some freshness, just to change it up a little bit, because Cunha started to get real quiet, and Mbeumo was just off. And Carrick sit down there, and he take too long to make them changes. Ahmad needed to be on earlier as far as I was concerned. Go through.
No, I mean, like you said, I mean, the first thing is, like, I always go back to Ahmad. I mean, Ahmad, your team has 10 men short Ahmad. I feel like that's automatic, And then, I mean, who was the first sub again? It was Ugarte and the shock. Ugarte came on.
Ugarte and Dalot for sure, and Casemiro.
Yeah, I mean, I will. I would have. I don't know. I would have fun with to bring on Ahmad at that junction. At that time, I would try and find a way to bring Ahmad on. Dalot is more, attacking the short is, but did he move Masrari to the left or something? Who was
Masrari on the left? Masrari was playing. No, but he started the game on the right. And when Dalot came on, he went on the left.
I would have brought on Ahmad. I think if you up, you up one man, bring on Ahmad, have more attacking, lineup in there rather than Dalot. Ahmad, plays good enough defense. You can put him in there, And when you take off Mbumo, we could move him and bring on Dallo later on in the game. You can bring Dallo on, in the game to play right back. I feel like there was no urgency in his coaching today. We keep waiting for something to happen. I feel like the last few games something happened. We get a result, but there was no intent to shake things up and make things happen. Now I'll give him bringing on Ugarte, but it was a brave choice. But I feel he had to make that the way things were going. He had to make that sub. It's tough seeing because this is what I was saying. We'll talk about next year and what coach we gonna get next year. I'm like, what midfield we gonna have next year? Because Casemiro and Meno are only our top midfielders, and they got destroyed by the 10-man Newcastle team. So Carrick with the options he had, I really felt it was a chance to go more offensive.
Yeah.
And I think by going, I think he gave Eddie Howe a little window to breathe out of, and they took they took their chances pretty well.
Yeah. Let me just get some comments real quick before we continue, right? So guys, don't forget to like and share the pod. We know how the viewership is be when we don't win games, but say what? If you could still do it, right? We appreciate it. Mickey on the inside, good night, man. Thanks for joining. He's saying glory, glory, Man United. All right. Phil on the inside as well. He's saying he head hot. Right? He's saying Bon Malasia, Bon Ugarte, Bon Dallo. Mickey saying here the guys didn't look like the intensity was there. Boy, they were walking while Newcastle was running. Yeah, Mickey agree, I guess, with you. All right. Where's the rest of the guys? Yeah, the panel, some they couldn't make it tonight. But me and
Midweek, man, midweek.
Yeah.
Just like the team, man. The team couldn't make it. The team today,
the team didn't show up.
Yeah.
Phil say, yeah. So Phil Phil just firing down, man, right? Bun Shaw, Bun Maguire. So our next thing, Simeon, our next thing, the substitution. Now, Carrick, for me, contrary to Amorim, I like Carrick's substitutions. Carrick has always been substituting to win games, to attack. So I can't fight down the man on that. But you see today, boy, apart from taking long to make substitutions, what was that Malasia substitution about, boy? You have Aidan Heaven on the bench there, who could play left centre back, who could play left back. He have more matches in his legs. And you bring on Malasia away to Newcastle. Carrick want to get shoot. That's what I telling you, Simeon. No, I know Malasia is a little boy now. Right? But when I see that play, and let me also say one more thing, right? I don't know what happened, but the two goals we considered today were so similar. Right? The first one, Gordon come back, win it off Casemiro, turn, run the other direction, win the pen. Right? And he had to run a couple yards, right? The guy who scored, Bruno forced a pass to Cunha. They get cut out by the same fella. This fella was on the top of his 18-yard box. Trippier make that long pass. That man run down that ball from his own half, beat Malasia in a foot race. Right? And then turn and reach on top of the box and score in a boy. Now, my thing is this, right? Malasia stand up there, and I show you the still image. Malasia keep stepping off the man. And then Malasia turn his body away from the attacking player in your box. How is that? How is this normal for a professional footballer? You turn your back to a man
Karim,
on the ball.
Hold up. Now, before you continue,
go through.
Now, when Malasia was signed, I was, I had good hopes. I had high hopes for Malasia. He was different from what we had. He was quick, aggressive, he was good on the ball. I was, and then he played, and then he played like, a squirrel on crack. You know, he had no end product. He had rash tackles, and I said, you know what? Maybe he ain't starting material. Maybe he can't replace Shaw. Maybe maybe he kept the tough spot. Then he get injured. I said to myself, he come back and he come back. I say, the man could, he could bench. He could play. I just wanna. I'm trying to say is I'm trying to apologize for my and retake, pull back my endorsement of Malasia because this man is he told me, he was shit. But when I come home, I was at work watching. When I come home and I watch this, I really have to question why like what he in the how much years he been here? What he do? The main thing I remember about last year is getting yellow cards, red cards, and this.
Here is my thing, right? Here's my thing, eh? Now I get that Carrick and his team seeing Malasia in training every day. I get that, right? I accept that. And let me also say, let me put this out there, that Carrick allowed to get things wrong. He learning how players operate in certain situations, who he could trust and stuff like that. So I cool with it, right? But the logic behind certain things is what I'm challenging here. Like, for instance, why it takes so long to take off Mbumo, right? After he was having a poor game, Malasia hasn't played since when? The intensity, right? The intensity that this Newcastle team playing with. You're going for it. So if you're going for it, you need to have that kind of security at the back. You know what I'm saying? Heaven has been immense for us. Heaven could play left back. Heaven could play center back. Why choose a player that hasn't played football, competitive football, in months? Because his sharpness, he look off. His awareness look off.
He was like a chicken wing cut off.
Yeah, he was just running like a headless chicken.
Yep.
You understand what I'm saying? So that whoever the boy name is from Newcastle who scored the goal, he was allowed too much time and too much space to swing that ball. You understand what I'm saying? When he was supposed to narrow down space or send him down the byline, because what he could do at the byline, you allow the man to cut in and your back turn and you want to swivel.
I mean, he was trying to usher him on to Maguire, but that kind of space, the man could go wherever he want in that penalty box with that kind of space.
Yeah, and I mean the thing about it, the goals are worthy, right? We don't want to take nothing away from the youth. The goals are worthy, but still, Malasia didn't cover himself in any glory there, and I have to challenge. Unless Heaven was probably injured on that bench or whatever, why not Heaven? That's all I want to know.
No, that's a good question. I even think about I even think about him being able to play left back. That's taking. I mean, like they put it that way. Yeah, what was Malasia doing out there if Heaven was available?
Yeah, you're winning a game 3-0. And you just want to see it out, bring on Malasia, no problem with that. But in a game like this, man, come on, man, Carrick, man.
All right, same speed, Bruno. Bruno's a great player. Bruno helped score a goal, put in lots of dimes. But why every now and then in defense, either he don't do anything or he do something stupid? Like what he did do today. What was that? Like what was that? You up a man.
Yeah.
It's Gordon. There's somebody in front of Gordon. Why you got? What was that? I still look at that and say, what he was doing there? I'm trying to get some kind of.
Yeah. Bruno. Plenty of the guys need to. They need to, and um, perhaps this loss came at a good time,
It did.
right? Perhaps it came at a good time because some of the teams around us would have dropped points. Aston Villa dropped points, Liverpool dropped points. City dropped points if we had any second place ambition. Um, but I really hope that from this loss, stock is taken in terms of the fellas not feeling that wins are automatic, and we really have to earn and win these things, and let's stop depending on those moments of individual brilliance, or those big moments. Because again, Simeon, even with how poorly we were creating some good chances, and we were just not finishing. And Mbumo gas sitter, and what is going on with this man? Mbumo had enough time, Simeon, to control the ball, put it on his right foot, his stronger foot, and swing it in, because all the players would have been going that way. Everybody throwing the body. You cut it back on your stronger foot and you curl it in the top corner like how you normally do, and easy does it. But boy, let me just get some comments real quick here, right? So Mickey was asking why not heaven, and this is what we all want to know. Why not heaven? Heaven was there, right? Phil asking where Martinez, where Delit, where Mount, Bundy's men as well. So Phil want to do clearance sale. Bundy, the screen share as well. Man checking on Lamens before he check on the potential goal scorer. Aye. Richard on the inside, thanks for joining, man. He said today the football gods were with us, but we were against ourselves. Hey, that was well said. Couldn't play it better, because that man get sent off. That wasn't a red card. We get back with the goal, and I don't know why keepers is always just be so big when they're playing against. Ramsdale pulled some big saves, right? Phil saying here, we're celebrating Wolves win yesterday, successful hit along. We learn about João Gomez only to come and do this foolishness against 10 men who look like a zero crossing. Bundy's midweek games, Bond City for dropping points as well. Listen, Arsenal taking it, but we just have to stomach that and deal with it. Richard saying here, no intensity, no urgency, wasteful, lackluster, not good enough. Yeah. You're also saying here, and we're not fatigued because Newcastle playing way more game than us. Well, it looked like we were fatigued today. Trust me. All right, then pissed me off. So yeah, but yeah. I was screaming and shouting at my TV. Go through Simeon.
No, I mean, I think the you have to look at those. Like I said, look at those first few games and ask yourself, was this team that's trying to play to show that, or is that a new manager bounce? Are they going back to how they were playing before? Is this some teams play when they want to, like when it's kind of when they up for it. It just seems like one of those days, one of those teams that someday, one day ain't we day, and we're just gonna see where the game take. I feel like we take the game by the horn today. And honestly, against Newcastle, if we don't do that, it ain't gonna happen like that. I really worried about, like you said, the intensity, the midfield and the, because teams can run on us if they do it, the just set up the right way. And this midfield, I mean, not everybody has a Newcastle midfield, but what happened today really, really shouldn't happen. I look at Cunha. I look at left side. A lot has been said. I want to talk about how we're gonna buy a new, left side, attacker, next season, and like, I wonder what's his comfort level playing on that left side because he doing a lot of nonsense on that side, especially trying to cut in and like if like he kind of confused as to what he's gonna do. I don't know if it's the players around him, if it's Bruno, if you want to pass the Bruno, pass the Tesco. I don't know if he's confused, but he is playing confused. And I think, a lot of times, we expect some kind of, continuity or, professional, execution. You don't see it. And it's kind of, mind racking because you know the kind of player he is. So I think, we really have to sort that left side out. You know,
But
if you
but I
want to
want
do
to
it,
ask, but I want to ask a question, right? I mean, we're moving on. Should we? Is any overreaction warranted? Should we panic and get worried by the one loss in seven? Well, let me put it like this, one loss, 6 wins, and one draw. Should we? Does this result today warrant, a panic reaction, a vex reaction, a upset reaction?
um, as far as Carrick goes, probably not. I mean, the thing is, as far as these players go, it has to. It gives you a reaction because, like you said, you pointed to the Everton game earlier. I mean, that was obvious. I don't say it was worse, but it was at home, so But like we have seen things go bad with this team. We have seen, the lack of energy and intensity, with these teams, and to see it start to creep back. Yes, I mean we can't. We can't. We have the luxury of you know of believing that this team, that the first few games were, how good, because it's not one game that we lose. It's the lowering of the football from game to game. Because the football we saw against Arsenal and City, that was high level stuff. That was hunger, and flair and execution, and has just been kind of going down. You know, so I mean, I think the fact that Sesko is starting now kind of shows that because if the way Mbumo, Cunha, and them first start off, they look like it. But then after a while, it got to a point where Sesko would come on and do a little to the end to keep the wins coming. And now we're relying on Sesko, to start off with, and he could score a goal here and there, but like I said, the offense ain't really clicking. That's what this team is supposed to be built on. I said at the beginning of the season, we ain't built to, to really. You would hope Casemiro, he could control games, but we ain't really built for that. We built to score goals. The upgrade at those three spots, was to score goals. We ignored the midfield, the wing position, to make sure we could score goals, and the fact that I said at the beginning, if they fail to score goals, we're in trouble. And Casemiro, when you have to rely on Casemiro, as good as he is to be scoring your only goal against 10 men, you're in trouble.
Yeah, but I mean, again, I hear what you're saying in terms of we've been seeing the signs, over the past couple of games. So this is why today, the result or the performance shouldn't come as a surprise because it was sort of kind of long overdue. You know, we get away against West Ham, then we bounce back against Everton. You know, so I hear you with that. I hear you, but I still think that we've seen more positives because one of the statements I made last pod is you still had to be able to win ugly. You had to be able to play poorly and still win the game. You know, and this is what we were not able to do today. Right? I think if we had won the game or even not lost, we would have recognized, because I think we have been pointing out some of the deficiencies that we've been noticing and seeing. But we also noted the ability to still get results, right? The ability to still win games. And I think that is always important, the ability to still win. So I wouldn't say that I am in a state of panic or losing my mind. You know, even though it has certain things that we see, but I cannot put it down to the fact that the squad that Carrick had is not the best. You know, it's not the best. He don't have much options to change things up, so he could only play, when I say, one way until you give him more tools, right? So it will only be a fair judgment of Carrick when he have more tools to do different things with. You know, because he came in and he played to the strength of the players that we have, and that's how we had to ride it out. When he look at the bench, all he's seen is probably Amado, Sesko, based on whoever starts. He might have Martinez. You don't even know if he might have Mount for the rest of the season. He has Xerxes. You know, so the options is not really, when I say options that you go say, well, at least I had that on the bench, you know, but Amar. So I would want to see, because this has been our first loss, I would want to see how the team respond versus who we play next? Villa, I think.
Villa? Yeah, I think it's Villa.
Yeah, so I would want to see how the team respond versus Villa, and then I might have a little more of an opinion on Carrick, you know, because even after the game against West Ham, where he had made the Sesko sub late, who did he play after that, boy? We played somebody else after, and he brought on Sesko earlier, and that's when Sesko come and score. So it shows that the man learning, and we can't expect Carrick to come in and not lose or not get things wrong, because other big managers just lose games. So Newcastle lost 2 games before they come into this game. So the expectation and the you know, what we put in on the responsibility, it can't be unrealistic, if you know what I'm saying. You know, so yeah.
I mean, I agree with you, but I would say this. I think now that the first loss is there, you see the criticism come in. You realize that he can't, how hard the job is. You know, I mean, my coach, you know, the results have been so good. You know, and one loss, you know, even I jumped on him and say, hey, you know, so you realize that his job, him getting this job, could be dependent on, you know, how good Casemiro legs feel, you know, how, you know, literally Casemiro, because the type of stabilizing, you know, he is, even though this game he couldn't do anything but Joe Linton, kind of stabilizing 4 years in the midfield alone, you know, if he can't play, you know, almost 80, 90 minutes a game, Carrick could kiss, you know, this job goodbye, because we have there is a good, we have to play good football to make Champions League. We have to play great football. We just gotta play good football to make Champions League. You know, we're 3 points, at least 3 points ahead, you know, in the top 5, top 6. But we are ahead right now. You know, we just gotta play good football. The teams coming up, you have a few. I mean, it's the Premier League, but still, you can see the level. You know, it's not difficult, but it ain't easy. So you just
Yeah.
have to play. You have to get them fellas playing good football. He has enough talent to do it. You know, so how he manages his team from now till the end of the season.
Yeah, you can be telling. They can be telling.
Yeah,
Let's get some comments real quick here, right? And then we can look to wrap it. Phil saying here, Arsenal fans ain't messaged me since the 3-2. Right? And all of a sudden my inbox flooded. Bun
yeah,
them
yeah,
Arsenal men and
yeah,
bun them the
yeah,
manholes and woodworks they came out
yeah.
from. 10 days we gotta sit on this. Oh yes,
Oh,
boy. God, goodness, a whole 2 weeks there now, boy. Bun these days, these next days, and bun am room for making us wait so long. Yeah, we could have been the FA Cup. No need to press the panic button. Third place is not where we are accustomed being. 8 more games to go, 5 wins and maybe 2 draws. All right, and he's saying here, unfortunately, 1 more loss coming. All right, let's see how it goes. But I mean, again, fella, again, Simmons, I keep always saying, we're still in the driver's seat. Right? Because
yeah.
we're still sitting in third, we in the driver's seat. So it's on us to throw this away. Right? And I hope that these fellas remain motivated, right, to achieve our goal. Because listen, don't do me that. Don't do me that. Right? So again, we are personally panic button. The loss was one that's, it was hard to swallow. It had a lot of things that we saw that wasn't pleasing. The intensity. We went back to. It's almost as though we reverted to being wasteful in front of goal after being so efficient. But I think we go figure it out. Aston Villa hasn't been in a good place. Let's just hope we could continue to keep them down. All right, and let's see where it goes, Simeon. Let's see where it goes.
Yeah, I mean, literally. I think coming into the season, I think we had the worst. I mean, the worst. Couple months. The worst preparation for this season. The whole coaching thing. Not recruiting a midfielder. You look at Liverpool, you look at Chelsea, you look at who else. I would carry say Aston Villa because they're doing pretty well for what they were, but it's amazing we are here. Let's not mess it up.
Yeah, and the thing about it is teams around us dropping points too. Everybody losing. I think we had to be fools to think that we were just going to win every single game until the end of the season and never lost a game again. So, but I mean, as a fan, you want to win everything. So when the loss does happen, it is be disappointing. Sometimes, especially how this one happened to be losing
Oh yeah, yeah,
a world in the debt. That one rough.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I'd still be a little contented leaving with a point from there now, because we haven't beaten Newcastle at their stadium, St. James Park, since COVID.
A tough team, man. They're tough.
Yeah, they're
We
real tough, boy.
and like
I
you
remember.
and
Go
what you
ahead.
said at the beginning about the type of midfield. That's exactly what you said. I mean, let's repeat that. That we will have that technical, tough-minded, industrious midfielder. We don't have that. And then
The
against
athletes, yeah.
Newcastle, yeah, it always shows. Always shows.
For real. And that's one team where it always shows. They always win the midfield battle. And they didn't have their key player today, Bruno Guimaraes. And people was thinking, well, hey, easy does it. And I was saying, no, I don't know Newcastle. You know who I rate from Newcastle by this? The left back by Lewis Hall is his name. He was
Yeah.
solid, boy. A proper player. Imagine we had him instead of Luke Shaw. I see Luke Shaw get a ball. Lamens play a ball for Luke Shaw. Luke Shaw had so much space. Bring it on in the chest. Ilanga run from thing and these are professional footballers, boy. Phil saying here, 10 men. My head is heated and my day was going so well. Trust Man United to ruin my Wednesday dread. Yeah, boy. Anyway, Simeon, I think we held the fort.
Yep.
Thanks for those who would have, commented. It wasn't few, it wasn't many, it was a few, but we still appreciate it. Anyhow, thanks for the likes, the shares, 10 days before, is it that we going to Villa Park or they come in here? I think it is a home game, because when we play Villa, that's not, right, it's a home game, man. So Villa is coming to Old Trafford next. So let me hope, guys, that we could get the work done and we could get back on the train of qualifying for Europe and finishing top 3. Last comment going to Jody. Jody, good night, man. Thanks for joining. He said that loss was in the making based on the past 3 performances, and I think we said that earlier. So it's really and probably, as we did say, Jody, probably it came at the right time for us to take stock, buck up, and let me finish strong. So let me see how it goes. Let's see how the team responds against Villa, and we go be able to tell a lot more, So yeah, Phil saying here, once we ain't playing Wolves, I good. Yeah, Wolves on our uptick, boy. Wolves on our uptick, we. Yeah, it's a home game. Yeah. So anyway, so Simeon, thanks again, buddy. Everybody.
No problem.
Yeah, have a good night and see you on the next one. Blessings.
Raiders.